Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, the other way. Let's watch.
After filing that marriage application, I was a bit nervous about it. As he was saying that he's gonna file it on the same day. That's why I put it on a hold. I asked him to put it on a hold.
So I'm glad he told her rather than her finding out in some other way. This is the responsible thing to do, and there's nothing wrong with him being hesitant. I know a lot of viewers hate, and I also am, as a citizen, frustrated about it, but as a therapist, he's ambivalent. The landscape is different now. The parents are no longer in the way, and so it's almost like a new landscape to him, and he has to figure out where he's at. He said that he was traumatized by his first marriage, and I know that some people will say, well, that was a completely different situation. That was an arranged marriage. You didn't really want to be with her. Jenny wants to be with you. That's apples and oranges. Well, we all understand that trauma isn't logical, right? When you're abandoned by your father and you get married to someone else at the age of 35, everyone understands that your husband is not your father, but the body doesn't know that. So for him, marriage might actually be associated with a lot of, and trauma, I don't know if he used the word trauma, but I'm not using that word lightly in this situation. Just think about what he went through. If we just heard the description, it'd be like, why'd you do that? But when we hear the mom talking and we hear the dad talking, we hear them talking about the family. When we hear his ex-wife's, family, the parents, the threats and the money that they had to pay, and he was worried he's going to go to prison. It was a traumatic experience. That'll really get inside of you, and all that is associated with marriage. So, it could legitimately be a really, really scary thing for him. Now, you would think he would look past that and say, like, well, yeah, but this isn't that situation. The other thing is that he is potentially, now that he is free, in the same way that the astrologer basically told the mom, look, don't stand in the way, let them fizzle out on their own. It's possible that the astrologer basically knew that Sumit has taken on all the culture that he's in, and although he rejects it, it's under his skin, and he might be having a lot of second doubts about marrying someone that's older than him. So who knows what's going on there? He might just be having second doubts, and that's what I was wondering about from the beginning, is that it wouldn't be unusual for after 9 years your love kind of cools down and you start wondering, like, well, she does bug me in this way and she kind of bugs me in this way, and so do I really want to, is there something better out there for me, or maybe I don't want to ever marry anyone for the rest of my life. So who knows if that's what's happening.
Without me even knowing, you just called the lawyer and told him to stop it? Why would you do that?
Having said all that, it doesn't justify him basically playing with Jenny's heart for 9 years. Because if he doesn't get married right away, it sort of makes it look like, it sort of rewrites the history. Because we've been going off the assumptions, as Jenny in particular, that the only reason why he hasn't married her is because of outside forces. But if there are inside forces, then we have to wonder, were you really against the first marriage? Did you really want to get divorced from her? Were you really against your mom? When your mom threatened suicide, were you just kind of using that as an excuse this whole time? It can really mess with Jenny's trust in him, because if the whole time he's been lying about that, and he's lied about other things. He lied about being married for 2 years. So this could be the final straw if this doesn't go well for Jenny.
I'm hurt that he didn't tell me, and I'm angry that he did it.
It's just a kind of feeling, it's just a kind of thing hitting my head because of bad experience of marriage.
You've never been in a real marriage.
Yeah.
Your other marriage was not a real marriage. It doesn't even count.
Yeah, Jenny always says things usually says things that are pretty level-headed and to the point. Other people on the show sometimes really focus on odd things, but she said, I'm hurt that he's hesitating and I'm angry that he did it. And he said, I'm worried about marriage. She's like, it's a completely different situation.
But I saw many people, things change. Like people change. It comes with the change in status. Like earlier you were girlfriend and boyfriend, now you're.
All right. So this is what he was saying last week. I'm worried that she'll become dominant. So he saw this potentially with his parents, or at least he didn't see his parents before they got married, I presume. But he might have this idea of, and maybe he has friends that are like this too. That there's the fun times when you're dating, and then there's the hateful times when you're married. Certainly, there's a stereotype like that in the United States as well. And so maybe he just really wants to keep it in the fun, lovey zone. I don't think that they would. I don't think Jenny would somehow transform after marriage, because they're not planning on having kids. And anyway, so I think it's just a matter of helping her so that she doesn't get kicked out of the country all the time. So maybe that, and that's what he's saying. And I could see that being at least a feeling one would have, but I think if you thought about it long enough, you'd be like, well, do I really think her personality is gonna change overnight?
Husband and wife.
I can understand if you're boyfriend and girlfriend and that's all you are.
Yeah.
And you never live together, you always live separately, but that's not us. What you're thinking about is not us. We are completely different from that.
Yeah, that's one good argument against that. It's like, look, if you're living apart, boyfriend, girlfriend, you get married, you move in, and then everything changes, okay. But we've been living together this whole time. So, getting married just means that I'm legal to stay in India. That's all that changes. Now, there's the possibility, which a lot of people are speculating, and I don't think this is a likely scenario, but it is a possibility that he's never wanted to marry her, or for a long time has never wanted to marry her. And there's a chance he doesn't even want to be with her, and he's sabotaging the situation so she'll break up with him because he doesn't have the courage to break up with her explicitly.
He's known me for such a long time. I'm the one he confides in. I'm the one that he can trust. I'm the one that he loves. Why would I change? If anything, I would become a lot more happy person and feel a lot more confident if he would marry me. It's madness. I don't know why he thinks that.
Yeah, but we've seen a lot of that question. Why does he think that? He catfished her in the beginning and then revealed who he was. He got married while he was in a loving, committed relationship with Jenny. Just imagine all the little lies he would have to say. Jenny calls him up. What were you doing today? Oh, I was at the store. And instead, he got married earlier that day. What are you doing today? Oh, just hanging around, even though he's living with his wife or whatever. Just imagine all the lies. He has a history of that. And the best hypothesis I have about that, and I've said this before, is that he said that his dad told him, Sumit, that you need to lie to your mom, otherwise she's going to make your life a living hell because she's rigid and stubborn, and so you just have to lie to her. That's what I do to your mom, and so you need to do that to your mom, otherwise everything's going to fall apart. And so early in his life, he learned that lying, maybe particularly to women, is what you do. That's how you keep a relationship going, is by lying.
I didn't find anything good about marriage in past. You should support me by understanding the reason. And
How about supporting me? I've stood by you through everything. I've been by your side through everything.
Yeah, yikes. So he's saying, I need you to support me. It's fine that he wants some, compassion or empathy or validation, but her feelings are more important at this point. I mean, given the scenario, for all the reasons we were talking about. So, he could, and he hasn't said yet, or they edited it out. It doesn't sound like he did say, I'm terribly sorry about this. Just give me some time. I'm sure I'll eventually come around. Like, he's not saying anything like that. He's kind of saying, and that's that. We're never getting married because I've decided that it's too scary. So I need you to support me. Like, ugh.
Okay, I'm not going to keep giving you all the time in the world. It's not fair to keep me hanging by a thin thread here. You have a green light. We can get married. But at this point, if you're still saying we're not going to get married, or I'm still scared, or I need more time, then I know for sure that you don't want to marry me.
Yeah, it just breaks your heart. Now, maybe he'll turn this around, but can you imagine being Jenny at this point? Maybe some of you can. I mean, just the hurt and the humiliation and the waste of time, the frustration, just awful.
And I shouldn't be here. Then really, I shouldn't be here.
I want her to understand me and understand my situation, how I'm feeling, where I'm coming from. If I keep on saying that I gotta go back to America, I feel like she's using it as a weapon, like controlling me with that.
Oh my God. So he must be transferring and displacing his mom onto her, to see Jenny as this irrational, controlling, person, unreasonable person. It's like, what? I don't think there is a soul on this earth that would think Jenny was unjustified in, at this point, saying, if you don't marry me soon, then we're done. I'm going back to the States. I don't think anyone would disagree. So why would he be so distorted? Is he lying, or is he distorted? It's likely he distorted, and we could see the breeding ground of that would be his mom.
I feel like the partners love each other and they support each other. They don't use anything as a weapon to threaten the other partner.
Oh my God, it's just so aggravating. It's like saying to someone, someone tells you that, I don't know, you go into McDonald's and you order your food and they say, well, we may or may not give you your food, but, give me the money. Give me the money. We may or may not give you the food. In fact, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to get your food. And you say, oh, well, I'm not going to give you the money. In fact, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to Burger King. And then the McDonald's employee is like, well, I don't like this sort of ultimatum you're giving me. It's like, who's the one? Anyway, it's, wow, frustrating.
So I guess I'll be going back to America now. Yeah, I guess I will be.
Don't do that.
What am I supposed to do?
Calm down.
Calm down?
Yikes. Calm down. She's calm. She's been here before. She is extremely calm under the circumstances. Wow. That would frustrate me. I'm reacting very calm, but, appropriately to the situation at hand, and you're telling me to calm down? I mean, I'd pick up a chair and hit him across the head. No, that's wrong. Don't ever propagate or recommend violence. I'd feel the urge to pick up a chair and hit him across the head. To tell me to calm down under this circumstances? Yeah. Wow. And just that tone. Let's rewind this, because that was an interesting tone. This tone is... So this is lending itself more to the hypothesis that he's trying to get her to break up with him or something.
They support each other. They don't use anything as a weapon to threaten the other partner.
So I guess I'll be going back to America now. Yeah, I guess I will be.
Don't do that.
What am I supposed to do?
Calm down.
Calm down? I've been calm. I think I've been pretty damn calm.
You need to be calm down more.
I've been more calm than I should be.
Calm down. Oh, boy. Calm down. Hey, little lady, calm down. What? Her saying, if you don't marry, well, calm down, little lady.
Either you want to marry me and be with me for the rest of your life, or you don't.
I do.
Okay, so you're going to call the lawyer and tell him to resume the process?
I will. Give me.
I will.
Oh, maddening. So, gaslighting is a thing when we have been using this word in the clinical literature for a long time, decades, to refer to relationships that are abusive, in which someone goes on a mission or inadvertently, through a lot of other voluntary acts, it has an effect on the other person that makes them feel like they cannot judge reality. And when the victim can't judge reality, then the abuser has more control over that person. This isn't gaslighting in that definition, but it's edging in that direction. He's not abusive in the clinical term, but just imagine that. Just, like, I love you, I want to marry you. Okay. And because he's been saying that for 9 years, right? And there's been times when she's questioned that. But then she always came back to, well, he's facing outside forces. So he does want to, now that he's completely free and he's like, yes, I want to marry you. Calm down. I want to marry you. Okay. Well, then let's do it. Yeah, we will. Absolutely. Okay. Then sign that thing. Like, calm down. Like, crazy making.
When?
I will do it by myself. Don't force me, and I will do it.
You don't want to marry me. Absolutely, 100%. You do not want to marry me.
Man, even I cannot think about when I'm gonna go and how I'm gonna do the thing.
I'm just gonna take a guess and say y'all had a similar visceral reaction watching this scene. I mean, it is maddening. The excuses, and because the thing about this is that I think there's a pretty good part of him, I don't know how much, maybe even 99% of him wants to marry her or wants to be with her. And it's like, because we don't have any reason to believe. Now, maybe he, like I've been saying, fell out of love with her a while ago, but they've been fighting for so long for this. And then it's like the Wizard of Oz, right? The companions reach the Emerald City and they pull back the curtain and Sumit's there.
Thanks.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Just don't pressure it. We're gonna get married like in as much time it's gonna take.
This is stupid. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. As much time as it's going to take, we all know what that means. We've been here before. We're here now. She says, okay, you want to marry? I mean, imagine yourself if you wanted to marry someone, if you were Sumit and you wanted to marry Jenny, you would just go down to the frickin' thing and sign the thing and make it happen. There is nothing standing in the way. In fact, he got in the way. Everything was moving forward. He put a barrier purposefully. So, yeah, I totally get it. And if I were Jenny's friend, I would say, because I'm guessing Jenny has a side of her. It's like, well, but what if he just needs a little bit more time? If you go back to the States and he still wants to marry you, he will chase you. If he doesn't chase you, then something's going on there, and you're better off somewhere else.
Embarrassing me.
They have the exact same fly swatter thing that I have. I'm trying to, where is that? Oh, here it is. Is that the same one? I mean, it looks like this, or it's similar, right? I haven't actually been able to use it yet. Every time I see a bug. So I live in a house, we don't have any screens on the windows yet, and so when I open the window, bugs get in, and every time I see a bug, I'm like, oh, where is that thing? And then I get the thing, and I'm like, where's the bug? And I lose it. But, so, I don't know, I'm just reacting. But anyway, I want to be clear, though. I'm not advocating for running away from someone manipulatively to get them to chase you. I'm just saying that there's a lot of indications that he doesn't want to marry you. And if you operate on that assumption, and you're like, well, what if? Well, if, then he'll make it clear and stop you from leaving or marry you on the spot, But if it doesn't happen, then he doesn't really want to do it because he can do it right now. You know, an analogy would be, you know, someone says, "Oh, I'm really hungry. I really want to eat pizza." And you're like, "Oh, so you make pizza? And do you want my pizza?" "Yeah, I want your pizza." Okay, you put pizza in front of their face, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so hungry. I want to eat pizza." And you're like, "Okay, well, pizza's right in front of your face." "Oh, I'm just so hungry. I just want to eat pizza." "Yeah, the pizza's right there. Eat the pizza. It's right. All you got to do is grab it and eat it. It's right in front of you." "Oh, I just don't know. I'm just so hungry. I just want some pizza." You're just like, eventually you have to say, you're not hungry and or you don't want to eat pizza. You're saying it over and over again, but it's right in front of you. The marriage is right in front of you. All you have to do is grab it and shove it in your face. The analogy is breaking down.
Embarrassing the out of me.
No.
What is wrong with you?
No, I'm
don't
not.
you know how stupid you look sitting there saying
I'm not.
nothing?
I'm telling you, don't say anything. Calm
I'm
down. I
telling
will.
you, I'm looking at you with
Yeah.
my eyes. You're saying, just wait, just give me time. Just okay, I'll go sit down in the house and I'll just sit there and wait until.
Yeah. So what Jenny is exhibiting is humiliation in a way that doesn't exhibit humiliation traumas. Imagine if Angela were in this position. Imagine if Evelyn were in this position, what they would do with it. Jenny is exhibiting emotion that is appropriate to the situation. Others, not necessarily.
You ready?
Keep on telling, yeah, I will.
We have already been given the green light, and still, even still, you're not ready to go.
Or nothing, I'm just asking you to calm down.
Okay. Then go do whatever it is you want to do. I think you basically are telling me the truth right now.
The other possibility that I think I've hypothesized before is that he is trying desperately to recreate his relationship with his mom. Now that he's not fused with his mom because his mom is saying, you know, you can do what you want to do, he now desperately is trying to recreate his relationship with his mom. Some of you might have experienced this from both sides of the coin, but it might be easier to identify when you're the victim of it. When you have a partner who seems to be shoving you into this box where they're making you into something, and they see something on you that you're like, how come you keep reacting to me this way? I'm not even that person. He keeps projecting onto her this crazy, out of control, controlling, threatening woman. Well, where have we seen that before? When Jenny is not that. He's calm down. I need you to calm down. She's calm. She's calmer than she should be. She's extremely calm. I just need you to calm down. Why is she upset? It's because of you. So you come to someone, you muscle them up, you make them upset, and then they get upset. And you calm down. That's projective identification. I listen to all my deep dives on that, but basically it's a subconscious effort to recreate a past relationship, and he's doing. It might be that, and we do that because we have unresolved relationship issues from the past. In a nutshell,
I think I have decisions to make. I'm scared. I'm afraid you're going to change. It's ridiculous. It's just excuses. Still, he can't decide if he wants to marry me or not, then maybe that means I shouldn't be here anymore.
I mean, I'll say that there's this other option that they don't get married, and she accepts that, and they just muddle their way through the visa process and see each other 6 months out of every year. That's what they've been doing for 9 years, and they've seemingly made a good time of it. I could see her saying, I don't want to do that, but given the alternative, maybe if they just look, okay, let's just forget about marriage. Do you want to be with me? Because I think he does, and the proof's in the pudding, right? The proof's in the pudding. He doesn't want to marry her, seemingly, because he can and he's not. But I think he does want to be with her. And so that is an option. Again, I think a lot of people, including Jenny, would be like, but if he doesn't want to marry me, then what are we doing?
I already told Jenny many times the reason why I am having problem. It didn't make any difference. Jenny threatening to leave. It brings out to be like my rebellious nature that I don't want to do something when somebody is pushing me that you have to do this or let's do it right now.
Ah, interesting. My rebellious nature. I don't like to do things that other people tell me to do. I can't believe this hadn't occurred to me before, but it explains everything. Okay, so some people, when they are mistreated growing up, and they're like a ticking time bomb to some extent. They're from 0 to 12. They're doing okay, but they're internalizing all this pain and lack of attunement and unexpressed anger. And then they hit 13, 14, and the stuff hits the fan. And they rebel, and they push back, and they argue, and they might become oppositional. And they will become rebellious. And when kids enter that phase, it's an overcompensation, and there can be a lot of strife in the family. I don't know if that happened. I don't know what that would look like in Indian culture, but one story possibly is that he entered his rebellious phase. He was prevented from entering his rebellious phase until he was like in his 20s when he actually met Jenny. And, this is an age-old story. Someone dates a race of a to spite your racist father. You know what I mean? It's a trope in a movie. Anyway, so maybe in his 20s, he was highly motivated and fused with his mom, which you could absolutely imagine, right? Given what we've seen about the mom, we could imagine him being completely fused and enmeshed with her, given how difficult their relationship might have been, and didn't really know who he was or what he was. And, and you parents have been through this, and kids will go through various different phases. Sometimes we call it terrible 2s, terrible 4s, sometimes we call it terrible 13s or something. But kids go through various different phases, not all the time, but they usually do, where they're starting to assert their own identity. And when they don't have an identity, they just define their identity as opposed to you. And so when you say, even though pizza is their favorite food, that you say, would you like pizza? They're like, no, even though they want to eat it. And the only reason why they're saying that is because at that age, they're developmentally, in a healthy way, going through a phase of saying, I am me and you are you. Prior to that, when you're 18 months old, it's like there's no differentiation between self and other for the child, which is good. But at a certain point, they're like, wait, I'm me and you're you. And that means I can do what I want to, and I can oppose you, but I don't know who I am yet. But I like playing with the idea that I am me and you are you. And so the only way I can do that is to oppose you. So some people, when they're not given that chance, will have a delayed rebellion, and in their 20s, they might have that need of like, who am I? And I need to assert myself by opposing someone else. So he opposes mom, stays fused with her. Best way to do that, find a woman that he knows will not be approved by her. Now, I'm not saying this is the only reason why he dated Jenny, but it could have been part of the motivation, subconscious. And now that the mom is no longer pushing on that, and he still doesn't know who he is or what he wants, this is a lot of speculation, of course, the person that is now telling him what to do is Jenny, who is just reiterating what they both have been wanting this whole time. But he is distorting it as, she is my mom and she's telling me what to do. And that kicks in my rebellious nature, which is a involuntary response that he has, which can be true for some people who they haven't had that satisfaction yet. They haven't had the satisfaction of, I can push back, I can assert myself, I am me and you are you. And if you don't have that, if you're not given that opportunity when you're a kid at the appropriate time, you can potentially the rest of your life always be extremely stubborn and shooting yourself in the foot. So is that what's happening? Because let's rewind that, because this when he said that, I was like, oh wait.
I already told Jenny many times the reason why I am having problem it didn't make any difference. Jenny threatening to leave, it brings out to be like my rebellious nature that I don't want to do something when somebody is pushing me that you have to do this or let's do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying it as if he knows this about himself, that when people push him to do things, he doesn't want to do it. Now, then you look back and you're like, well, people pushed you to get married to this other person. You did that. People pushed you not to marry Jenny. You did that. So what's going on?
This is what exactly my fear about marriage. Like, after getting married, she's gonna try to control me about this.
So I don't know, but if I were teaching a class and I was going to present data for projective identification, it would be this. Listen to all my deep dives on it. It's pretty complicated. It's, goes back, the concept goes back 100 years and has been morphed over time. But the way that I use it is the way that Kernberg and others use it. But the way that we will internalize a difficult relationship, it will become internalized, and then we need to recreate it. And the way that we recreate it is subconsciously by manipulating other people to agree with one side. And so he has effectively manipulated Jenny into being a controlling, rejecting, unreasonable, emotional mom, because he has told her, I want to marry you, I want to marry you, I want to marry you, 9 years. And then all of a sudden, curveball, don't tell me what to do. So of course she's going to get upset, but he is seeing a projection. He is seeing an unreasonable, controlling, pushy, demanding woman, older woman. None of us would say that's true about Jenny. I hope. She is, if she is extremely calm under the circumstances. She is extremely reasonable under the circumstances. Like I said, if I were her, I would have had an urge to hit him across the head with a chair. I never advocate for violence, but I would have been like, peace, we're done.
I think. Right?
I guess so.
Well, if he really wanted to be with you, he wouldn't leave any chance. And the fact that he's stalling the process, that speaks volumes. It would speak volumes to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. It speaks volumes. Like if someone wants to marry you, nothing's going to stand in their way. On the other hand, as we all know, people have issues. And does Sumit have a deep 110% desire to marry Jenny, but he has issues derived from his early childhood that are clouding his mind? I've seen it before. I've had people who are 100% sure that they want to leave a marriage. They're like, yeah, for 5 years, I'm done. And then they leave. And then a few months later, they realize they made a terrible mistake and they were in a funk because of their attachment style to their partner. And then they desperately went back into the marriage, even though we molded over for months and months and months and months and months that, and, consistently the person was like, no, I want out. Yes, I'm sure of it. Yes, I know it's not my attachment. I know it. This is me. I'm done with it. I've always wanted to be done with this. So I'm giving an example of people who deeply love and want to be with someone, and yet their issues are clouding them even to see their own love. That happens sometimes. Is that what's happening with Sumit? Does Jenny care? Jenny might say, well, fine, if that's happening, fine, but it still doesn't change the fact that he's not marrying me, so we're done.
About you. If he's not ready to walk the mile for you, that much distance for you, then where is the love?
Now, that I kind of question, and I know that's the central thing of this show. It's 90 Day Fiancé. It's based on marriage. But I could, as I was saying earlier, I could see it being possibly a happy life for the two of them if they didn't get married. If Jenny doesn't want that, obviously that's fine, and that makes sense. But they haven't been married for 9 years, and they've lived together a majority of that time. And even though her visa has, had some trouble, I'm not saying Jenny should do that. I don't think a lot of people would do that in Jenny's position, but I don't think it's an either-or situation. I think there's a third option of them just, I could see Jenny being like, well, But we still love each other and we're still together. He has a thing about marriage, and that really screws things up for me about the visa. But you don't know what it's like when we're together and we don't talk about his parents and we don't talk about marriage. We have a great time together. I could imagine that being true. Again, I don't think a lot of people would recommend Jenny take that choice, but that is a choice.
And he says, okay, we are not married. I'll go off to her. I mean, she invested so much in him and then he walks off. There is no stability. There is no commitment. What kind of relationship is that?
I think he likes things the way that they are.
Yeah. Yes.
We're not married, but we're as a married couple.
Yes. So he's getting all the perks so without any responsibilities.
That I don't understand. I'll hear that sometimes, particularly towards, I guess only towards men. He's getting all the perks. What perks is he? Is that sexual perks? Don't they both get perks from sex? Isn't it a mutual perk receiving process? That model of like women give sex to men and men give marriage to women and children to women. Certainly that can be an arrangement that people have, but that's a stereotype and, based on old gender roles. I don't know if Jenny and Sumit are really in that bucket.
Yeah.
He should be taking responsibility. He's a grown-up man. Don't let him use you.
Yeah. I agree. I know.
Use you for what? What? Sex is mutual. What are you talking about? He's not cheating on her as far as we know. So how is he using? What's he getting out of that? So now some people might argue he's getting money out of it because she's supporting him, I believe, from her pension. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Because if that were true, if he was using her for sex and money, and she was like, I'm not going to let you use me that way. I demand that you marry me. Do you really want to be in a relationship like that where you had to force someone who wanted to use you into marrying you? Like, I don't think I wouldn't want to marry someone under those circumstances. So I don't think Jenny believes that. I don't think Jenny believes that Sumit is using her. Now, I'm not defending Sumit. If Jenny wants to leave, then yeah. If I were Jenny's friend, I would completely understand that decision.
I think we sometimes forget what we owe to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe just go back to the US. Let him feel how important you are for him.
Let him miss me.
That could be a strategy. I don't like the notion of being manipulative with it, but you could even just be explicit. You just be like, Sumit, I've been waiting for 9 years, and now the proof's in the pudding, and there's no pudding. You could marry me in a few weeks, and you're not taking actions. You say you want to marry me, but you're not taking actions toward that. And so I think you love me and I love you, but I can't live under these circumstances. And I think you have some kind of issue with rebelliousness, with your mom, with your past ex. It's not a part of me. I've done everything I could. If there's anything I can do to help to fix whatever problem you have, I understand what you're going through, I guess, but I can't deal with this anymore. I have sympathy for you, but from my side, this is awful. And so I'm going to go home. And if I'd love to still marry you, I'd love to still be with you, but unless you actually show and, we get married, then I'm never coming back again. Something along those lines. But then again, she could go back. He could say, like, you got to come back because we got to sign the paper. And then she comes back and he's like, oh, where'd the papers go? Like we could so I don't know. And then she could say, look, I'm not leaving as a punishment to you. I'm just leaving because I don't want to live under these circumstances. If you want to marry me, for now, that door is still open. But I don't want to hear words. I want to see action. Because action means from the heart. Words anyone can say.
I know the advice she's given me is right. It's the correct advice, but it's not that easy for me to just leave. Even with everything that's happened, Sumit postponing the marriage and being afraid to marry me and making up excuses, I still feel more love from Sumit than I've ever felt from anyone else.
Right. And I think that's something that is lost to us as the viewers, that we just see the frustration and the annoyances. She is reporting to us, and I think we can respect her opinion because she's pretty level-headed. I feel more love from him than I've ever felt. It's real. He has something about marriage. I don't know what's going on, but I know he loves me. You don't know what we're like, when the cameras aren't there. It's love and cuddling and kissing and support and sense of humor and spending time together and comfort and best friends and lovers and, all that stuff. And so that's why I think there's that third option of, well, for now, let's forget about marriage because we still have love between us. You got a thing about marriage. I don't want to pressure you to marry me. It really makes it hard for me with the visa, but I guess if that's what it just means I'm going to have to go back to the States a lot. But, under the circumstances, I'd rather be with you than not be with you. I could see that. And I don't think, if I were her friend, I don't think I would say that was a self-abusing choice.
Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I mean, and to think of just leaving him, it's really hard. I say I'm going to, and I tell him I'm going to, but when it comes down to it, I can't do it.
And he knows that.
I know this is the problem, but
See, her attitude is that of, he's a psychopath. So many triangulated thirds are like this assumption that he knows that she's trapped. He's using you for sex and for money. He knows that you don't have a backbone and he's using you. Like, do we think some, now Sumit could be doing that, but that's pretty, and people are like that. There are psychopaths and sadists in the world, but they're rare. And I don't think Sumit is one. We don't see any signs of that. So she's like, yeah, he knows that. And this is that discourse that we see on the internet, gaslighters and the narcissist concept on the internet. This whole idea of just like people wake up in the morning like, ha ha ha, I'm going to use this person. I know what's happening. I'm the puppet master is true at times, but not often.
And I don't do it. It's like I'm crying wolf. It's just pretty much buying him more time, I think.
You have to know that actually you're going to leave. And the day you leave, he will make a decision.
so
Isn't it?
no, I need to go.
So you have to take that step. It might be very hurting to you.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that piece of advice isn't necessarily bad. It actually could be eye-opening to him to have that happen. Like, it could have him reorient his priorities and maybe snap him out of whatever kind of thing he's in. But I don't know. I don't like the fact that she has to play a game, essentially. And like I said, there's a way to do it so it's not a game, but I don't know. I think it's just Summit's putting Jenny in a really weird situation that there's really no good answer to, I think.
To step away. But if it makes both of you arrive at a conclusion in your life, then it's worth it, isn't it? He's not giving you what you deserve, right? Just walk away.
Maybe I really do need to leave Sumit.
So what she is doing is what some novice therapists will do. And when I'm training people, I really try to get them not to do this, just to tell someone what to do. And even to have an opinion about what's best for someone to do is often not helpful. Because I could see Jenny in this moment going like, yeah, I kind of agree, but I don't want to do that. So you kind of push someone into a position where they have to reject you as the helper, and instead of you just listening and saying, well, what do you want to do? I see the conundrum you're in. I could see you going this way. I could see you doing that. What do you want to do? And that's usually a more helpful position. But what she's doing is what a lot of people do. They decide what's right, and often what people will do, and I've talked about this before, triangulated thirds will often. The solution is always break up. You're complaining about your job, quit your job. You're complaining about your marriage, get a divorce. It's this knee-jerk reaction that people had because it's easy. It's kind of, they have anxiety about your problem, and if you're not in that venue if you're not married, then you don't have marriage problems. You have marriage problems. I'm scared and I'm nervous about your marriage problems. Just get a divorce, and then that'll reduce my anxiety. But it doesn't. That advice isn't usually very nuanced, or doesn't consider the nuances.
Maybe then he'll find out what does he really want. I need to be strong and think about myself first. Even if it breaks my heart into a billion pieces.
Yeah, I just feel so bad for Jenny. I just feel so awful. I just feel so bad for her. I mean, Sumit, dude, what is going on? All right, well, that is it for that episode. If you didn't know already, we have merch, and I am also on Cameo. If you want me to wish someone a happy birthday or happy anniversary or something, you can go to Cameo. It's kind of fun to do that. We also have merch. You can use the link below, or just go to, I think it's Teespring, or maybe it's just Spring now. I can't remember. Anyway, there's a link below. You can get mugs and shirts and all kinds of stuff. It's fun. Anyway, everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.